Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Monday edition of the program. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got a lot to talk about today. We'll be joined by JC here momentarily on the Titan MR hotline and got a lot of sports to break down. We were hoping to be joined by Scott Carter, but I don't think it's going to work out today. But we got plenty to talk about. Let's go ahead and head to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by Corn Dog. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you, QB. The Crime Prevention Security System Studios is everywhere. It really is.
Well, no doubt. It's very mobile.
Here we are. Okay. You have a good weekend?
Yes, we have a lot to talk about, JC. I'm gonna give some topics here, or just some points of reference if people missed it, and then we'll touch base on a lot of it. Let's start with the Daytona 500, which, I respect NASCAR driving and I get it and all that, but it's just so damn confusing to me. I'm gonna have to have like Daryl or somebody give us with all the wrecks and but anyway, a guy named Austin Cindric wins the race. Barely beats Bubba Wallace, so. I need to get more educated when it comes to the Daytona 500. And PGA golf, Joaquin Newman, I think it was a wire-to-wire, man. He shoots 19 under par on a very tough golf course. JC, I think you beat me in the picks. Morikawa, I think, came in second. So you're hammering me right now early in the golf season. If you missed it last night, I know you tuned in, JC, but at the NBA All-Star Game, Steph Curry was your Kobe Bryant MVP. The dude made 16 three-pointers on 27 three-point attempts. How about that?
Yeah,
you know that?
Easy. No, but I know shooting is easy for him. And, when you're basically just brother. Yeah.
Yeah, but he wasn't just shooting normal three-pointers. Somehow I flipped through the channels and I saw 3 consecutive three-point shots from almost center court. I mean, it was ridiculous. But my question to you and to our listeners, would you prefer to watch the Pro Bowl or the NBA All-Star game?
I think I would prefer to watch I like the player. I'm more familiar with the players in the NFL than I am in the NBA. But that being said,
bad. It's like two-hand cut.
They don't. Oh no. With that being said, I don't think they really play football. And in the NBA, at least you got guys shooting shots. Now, they don't play much defense in that either, but it's probably more entertaining to watch that. But I prefer the NFL players because I know them more, but I see where you're going with that, and I understand it. But certainly, in the NFL Pro Bowl, it's all about just don't get hurt, right? You don't want to have a Robert Edwards situation hit you. Even though Robert Edwards didn't get hurt in the game, he got hurt playing beach volleyball, but it ended his career. So that's the biggest concern for sure.
Yeah. Got a couple of Facebook Lives here I'm going to get to in just a second. Gator Sports, if you missed it, softball continues. They're 10-0. Baseball loses the series opener. They're now 1-2 on the season, lose to Liberty.
Yeah.
Basketball, we'll talk about, obviously, beats Auburn. Women lose yesterday to LSU. Kiki got hurt. I don't know how severe her injury was there at the end of the game. I watched a little bit of that. But man, they played well as well. Joseph says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Big win for the Gator Hoops. It's very frustrating being a Gator Hoops fan. We lose games we have no business losing and then turn around and win a game against Auburn. Mike White has got to put it all together. Look, I like Mike White. I still want people to be realistic when it comes to Gator basketball. People need to realize Mike White has gone to the tournament. Every year he's been the head basketball coach except his first year. That was coming off a losing season that Billy Donovan had. And when people want to compare him to Billy Donovan, it's not even fair, JC, in my opinion. The number one goal in basketball is not be a top 25 team. It's not win the SEC. Would you like to win the SEC? Yes. But it's make the NCAA tournament. Florida's still on the bubble right now, supposedly the first 4 out. They need to win a few games. But I just don't get it. They should have won at A&M 2 games ago. Mike White had nothing to do with Flanders Fleming basically running over a 3-point shooter when he had zero business. I mean, that has nothing to do with Mike White is my point. But having said all that, I understand where people are coming from, but I think Gator basketball fans are the most unrealistic fans in the world. That's just my opinion.
Kiwi, I mean, everything. I don't disagree with anything you just said. I mean, it is absolutely the only objective is to get to the NCAA tournament. Yeah, it can be easier by winning, big games during the year, and certainly winning an SEC championship is an automatic deal. But getting in matters. Now, seeding also matters because you don't want to end up playing somebody like Duke in the first round. Otherwise, the whole thing is pointless, it seems. But it does mean that you've had a successful season if you make it. And, I know there's 64 teams, but of those 64, there's many, many automatic bids. So it's not like you get 1 out of 64 tries. You don't. You get 1 out of about 25 or 30. But the point is that Florida gets a win over Auburn. They can beat Arkansas. They then will become one of the first 4 in, I would guess, because you're talking about 2 of the top 4 teams in the SEC, and you get wins over those 2 teams, that puts you back on the map. And, the fact is that when Tyree Appleby, to me, he is the biggest wild card in Florida basketball. If he shoots and hits his shots, then the Gators can win these games, dude. I mean, that's really all we talk about is their shooting, right? So when Appleby makes shots like he did against Auburn, the Gators are competitive. They can win games. He beat Ohio State with his shooting. So I think, when he's hitting shots, Florida is very, very dangerous. And when he's not, or when the rest of the team isn't, they're very, very beatable. And that's just kind of the way it works, I guess, with this team.
Look, but the bottom line is make the tournament. I don't give a damn if we come in middle of the pack in the SEC because, so you're the SEC champs. What good does that do you when you go to the NCAA tournament? Maybe you have a better seed, like you said, but that's it. Okay, so I got on Twitter. I didn't respond to any of these morons about the court storming, or whatever it was. It's about 75 students from the University of Florida that have no idea probably even how to bounce a basketball, They just knew that this was the biggest win in the history of the school. Billy Donovan never did this. Norm Sloan never did this. Lon Kruger never beat the number 2 team in America in the O'Connell Center, So these kids got excited, and then you hear all these people, well, this is how far Florida basketball has fallen. This is embarrassing. Again, people, what? I don't know where you're living, but Florida is not a premier basketball school. A, B, the kids that storm the court, that's what kids do in college. And those kids have no idea probably who Billy Donovan or Al Horford or any of those guys are. Think about it. Think about those kids that stormed the court, JC. They were about 5 years old, right? And they probably are from overseas or probably are from Wisconsin or Vermont that have never watched anything, and they love going to the Gator basketball games and being part of the Rowdy Reptiles, and let them have fun. Who gives a damn? It has no bearing on where the program stands today. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, anybody who bitches or complains about kids having fun in college or storming the court, especially what we've been through the last 2.5 years, is one of those get off my yard kind of crackpots, cranky people. Those people don't interest me at all. I love seeing, a semi-court storm at Florida. God forbid. I mean, dear God, they do it everywhere in America. All right, get over it. It's not a bad thing. I actually was in a court storming back in the 70s when Reggie Hanna and Richard Glasper beat Kentucky or it was Tennessee or something. I can't even remember, but we were at Alligator Alley and we ran out on the court and I smacked Reggie Hanna on the butt saying, good job. And he gave me a high five. I'll never forget that. And that was before the O'Connell Center, and nobody killed me or ran me over. And I was just a little boy. And I just don't understand this big fear of it because it happens everywhere. And I think people who complain about that, and if anybody says that's an embarrassment, to me, it would be embarrassing not to storm the court and have a good time once in a while because it shows that you are the no fun school. And that's not what we want, right? So this issue about safety to me is overblown. And I think everybody had a good time and good for them. I mean, how many people are dying to go to Gator basketball games these days? My God, I've been to one this year and half the building was empty and there was no way in hell there was 10,000 people in there. So I think it's fine. And I don't like the folks who complain about everything. And I certainly don't like the folks who bellyache about something as harmless as that.
Yeah. And it's just, well, their whole point was that it's an embarrassment because, Florida should act. Florida's never beaten a number 2 team in the entire program.
That's right.
That's what people don't understand. So, and like I told
with you,
the kids that stormed the court, they couldn't name 5 players from they couldn't name the starting 5 from the national championship teams. I promise you that. Those kids have no clue. No clue.
That's the fact.
No clue at all.
Yes, they were 5 years old. QB. They were in kindergarten. I mean, really,
not one of them probably have any background of Florida athletics because those kids don't get accepted to our schools. So, So another thing, speaking of college basketball, I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but it got ugly. Michigan, Wisconsin, Juwan Howard, one of the assistant coaches. I'm pretty sure he'll be suspended. He may get fired after that offense. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I thought, first of all, preceding that was ridiculous. I mean, he's getting blown out and he's pressing, okay? What is he doing that for? And the point is that Wisconsin had the backups in the game, and there was nothing – I found nothing wrong with Wisconsin calling a timeout. I found something very wrong with Michigan. Here we are about Michigan. Something about Michigan really annoys the hell out of me. But anyway, here we are with Michigan pressing, and they're getting their butts kicked in, rather. And I just found it to be absolutely inexcusable. I think Howard has got to be suspended for the rest of the season. And as far as being fired goes, I'll leave that up to someone with a higher pay grade. But I do think he needs to sit and think about what he's done. You can't do that in front of kids. And by the way, he wasn't going to shake guard's hand either. I mean, he was just going to walk right by the guy. I mean, what kind of sportsmanship does that show? You just got blown out, dude. Shake the guy's hand who blew you out and move your team out of town. All right, get on out of town. And yet he acts like somebody in a schoolyard because he got his feelings hurt because his team got blown out. And he was pressing down, double digits. Well, who the hell does that? So I think this was all on Howard.
Yeah, I agree. It was a bad scene. We'll see what the Big Ten does. Michigan's kind of, I want to say at the beginning of the year, Michigan was ranked in the top 5, and they've had a bad year, and you hate to see it, but it is what it is. Okay, we'll come back. We're getting a bunch of Facebook Lives referring to the Juwan Howard and the basketball team and things, but I don't know if you saw this, JC. I'm pretty sure you didn't, or if you heard about it, and I only heard about it because I was listening to something while I was driving somewhere. Okay, so the U.S. women's national soccer team was playing the national team from New Zealand. The Americans win 5-0. 5-0. Okay. Did you know? And I don't know if this has ever happened before. One of the defenders for the New Zealand national team, she scored 3 goals.
Well,
for the Americans. For the Americans.
Oh, for the Americans. So she scored 3 goals.
We win 5-0, but I guess whenever she was, you know how whenever the ball comes to a defender, they sometimes kick it back to their own goalie. Well, she scored 3 times for the Americans. How about that?
I don't think she needs to be playing defense anymore.
Well, they must really stink. Maybe they put her on offense.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. I'll tell you what. Yeah, no, that's embarrassing. That's a shame. I don't know why she was in the game after she scored the first goal for the Americans.
Yeah, but I thought that was kind of funny. On another note around the National Football League, there's a lot of talk. I think with the combine. Okay, kids are getting ready to go to the combine, but I don't know if it's the NFL or what. But they're trying to make it. They still think we're 2 years ago with all this COVID. I bet you're going to see a lot of NFL players not go to the combine for a lot of reasons. They're making them do all this craziness from the bubble and all this. I don't know if you've heard about it.
No, folks need to move on, man. I mean, they're not, first of all, I wouldn't go. I don't blame them for not going. It's silly, and you have your pro days. You can do that, and there's plenty of opportunity and plenty of tape for folks who are trying to get drafted in early rounds. So I agree. I don't think you're going to see the type of attendance because of just that issue alone. I also think, if we're talking about football, one of the stories that kind of got to me, QB, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this, and maybe they're not very, very broad, but, of course, the college football playoff is dead with 12 teams now. It's going to stay 4 through this TV contract, which means through the 2025 season, which means literally 4 more years of a 4-team playoff. And at first I was like, wow, these people just don't get it. They'll never try to grow the sport. They'll never do this and never do that. But then I thought, well, really all expanding does is give teams like Ohio State or Clemson or somebody with 3 losses that you're always used to seeing just another way to get in. And what we saw last year is kind of what everybody had hoped would happen, in that new teams would show up and appear even though they got blown out in the semifinals, which is kind of typical these days. But if Ohio State or Clemson have 3 losses, expanding the playoff field just means you're giving them a chance to get back in it, and they're the kind of team that could get hot and win it. And so when you have a 4-team playoff field like we've had, and I'm just playing devil's advocate to the playoff proponents, but when you have a 4-team playoff like we have now, it basically means that when you're upset and you're in Ohio State or Clemson, you may not make it. And if you expand that field, you're automatically going to make it, basically. And so, you can look at it a couple of different ways, but I do think eventually playoff expansion is going to happen. But now we know it will not happen for at least 4 more years. QB, what do you think?
Yeah, it bothers me. Here's my thoughts on this, JC. The NFL doesn't take the best 4 teams. They have a tournament.
Right.
Did you? I'm not meaning to put you on the spot here, but I've been thinking about this since the other day, and I did a little homework, JC. Okay. FCS. You know how many teams they have in their playoff system?
16.
24.
Okay, 24.
Division II football. How many teams do you think they got in their tournament?
24. I don't know.
28. They have 28. Division III football has 32 teams. Okay, so I hear what you're saying. When the Ohio States of the world get upset, but my point is, the NFL doesn't just take 4. I don't know why they don't expand this. It makes no sense to me. I know you're probably going to get some blowouts, but who cares? I just think it would be great for the sport. I mean, think about if you have 24 teams. Think about if you're one of those Pac-12 teams that gets to travel to Tuscaloosa for round 1 or whatever. I don't know how it would look, but can somebody explain to me why Division I football only thinks they need 4 teams when the National Football League, which is the best sport in the world, has, what do they have, 14 now? I don't even know how many. Yeah, 14 teams that make the playoffs?
Yeah, they have 14. Well, QB,
okay.
12 teams, yeah. Well, I mean, when you think about it, the 12 teams, just think about, let's hypothetically look at this just quickly for a second. 12-team field would have been pretty cool this year. And I mean, I don't think anybody's arguing that upsets should matter. But if we had that this year with the top 4 getting a bye, you're looking at Pittsburgh playing at Georgia. I think people in Athens would have shown up to seeing their team play Kenny Pickett after coming off that loss in the SEC game, with the winner to face Baylor. You would have had Utah at Notre Dame with the winner to face Cincinnati. Then you would have had Michigan State and Ohio State. Okay, we already saw that blowout, so maybe that's not a big deal. But the winner would then play Michigan, and then we have Oklahoma State playing at Ole Miss with the winner playing Alabama. Now, some folks think, well, we already saw those games, dude. Why would you want to play that again? But those would have been opportunities for more teams, and that's what I think the people who are screaming for a 12-team playoff are dying for, is to try to expand the idea that other teams can participate for something like this. We would have on-campus games in December. Now, who wouldn't want that? And that would mean that football just gets more and more attention, and it becomes a little less inclusive and more. It becomes more broad to give teams an opportunity at the beginning of the year, saying, you really do have an opportunity to do something special this year by being one of the 12 teams to be in the playoff. And you catch fire, you win games. And even with the physical nature of it, unlike basketball, yeah, I know the Ohio States and the Alabamas and Clemsons will have the advantage because of the way they recruit as opposed to the Ole Misses and Pittsburghs and teams like that. But it doesn't matter because injuries play a big part of football. So a lot of teams that you otherwise wouldn't think in September have a chance could be healthy in December and make a run and win a championship. And I think that just would make the sport better, QB. So I'm thinking, we got to wait 4 more years now of what we currently have. And that's just because these people can't get on board. They just can't figure it out. And it's kind of a lack of leadership, I think.
Yeah, and Joseph says here, 14 teams with only 32 total teams in the NFL. College football is 4 out of over 100. Definitely need to make more playoff spots. Yeah, you think about it, it just makes no sense. And then you get these morons, these presidents that say, oh, it's too long of a season academically. Okay, you're trying to tell me the Furmans of the world, some of those schools, the James Madisons that are great academic institutions, they're worried about their players when they make the playoffs every year. It's just completely nonsense.
Basketball players, what about them? Do they have to go to class? This whole thing with academics and the scheduling of classes is all taken care of by the staffs at the schools. They have tutors, they have traveling teachers, basically. It can be done if it needs to be done. And it's just, these are people making excuses for being lazy. The Kevin Warrens of the world in the Big Ten, who think that they're great leaders of great conferences and young men, are failing them because they don't have vision. They don't want to make a change because it just is not convenient. And that to me is a shame because now we're going to wait 4 more years. We're going to go through a whole new graduating class of teams out there that really have no realistic chance of making winning a championship, going through it. And yeah, okay, Cincinnati caught lightning in a bottle, but was Cincinnati going to win the national championship this year? Hell no. You watched them play during the year. They had no chance of winning the championship, even though they were the 4th seed. But it just irritates me that these guys, they just can't get together on a very simple topic that I think isn't as hard as people make it out to be. And there's just no leadership in college football, QB. Who's the commissioner of college football? Who do we know that runs college football? And to me,
thank you to do it.
Well, somebody needs to, because to me, you got way too many voices and coaches and people in the kitchen. You had 2 conferences that voted for this. It was an 8-3 vote. Actually, you had 8 that voted for it, 3 that voted against it. And the 3 that voted against it were this phony, fuddy-duddy alliance thing, whatever the hell that is, which means the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the ACC, the conference champions didn't want a champion. The Pac-12 voted against it. So it just blows my mind how just how these people cannot seem to find consensus, and it doesn't do the sport any good, I don't think.
Wrap Spot's opening a second location, folks, in the heart of Gainesville at 1931 North Main Street. Wrap Spot's teamed up with Vibrant Vinyl Works to offer color change wraps, advertising wraps, custom striping, hood wraps, and wall wraps. Go check them out. Talking to JC on the Titan MR hotline. Got a bunch of texts we got to get to here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Ryan. He says, "Happy Monday, gents. Forget firing Mike White. It's time to break out the Fire Kevin O'Sullivan banner." I'm kidding, of course. The basketball team still has work to do to get in the tournament. What a win. It was ugly, but them dudes don't have any quit in them. And pretty crazy stat that Auburn has lost 14 straight in the O'Connell Center. That's true. They haven't won since 1996, I think. And here's the other thing. Here's what's crazy, JC. So Auburn had a possession with 15 seconds at the end of the half, and then they have the last possession of the game to win it. And the best player in America
did not touch the ball.
Does not even touch the ball in either possession.
I know.
And I think Auburn's a really good basketball team, but I believe their guard play at times is so selfish that it could cost them in the tournament. But, hey, if you're an Auburn fan, are you trying to fire Bruce Pearl because you don't let the best player in America, and I ain't talking about on your team, I'm talking about in America, touch the basketball on the two last possessions of the last possession of the first half to take the lead and the last possession of the game to win it. He does not touch the basketball. So that's crazy.
Well,
right, thanks for the tip.
Good job, Daryl.
That was from Ryan, not Daryl.
Excuse me, Ryan.
We got another text here on the Titan MR text line. Gator baseball started on Friday and ended on Sunday. Just another average baseball season. Sully is a great recruiter, but just an average coach.
Oh, my God.
They're 1-2. They have 53 more regular season games. Season's over.
It's over. Fire the staff. Just get at it. I mean, it is February, folks. I can't even think about baseball right now, but I understand losing to Liberty 2 out of 3. Okay, great.
Well, but speaking of baseball, JC, we got a Facebook Live brought to you by Melvin Law, if I can find it here. But it's crazy. Maybe there's tremendous parity. And here it is. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melvin Law, the Bryant Bulldogs beat the number 12 team in America, East Carolina. I don't know if they beat them or won the series when he's saying here. Long Beach State beat Mississippi State, who's number 3 in America. I don't know if they just beat them in a game or won the series. And obviously Liberty won the series against number 9 UF. A lot of talent at these smaller schools. There's no question about that.
I'll tell you what, QB, though, just let me switch gears for a minute. This softball conference that we have down here, I think we've got a two-headed monster and a lot of good teams underneath it. But Florida and Alabama are going to be just knocking heads this year to win this conference. I think it's a two-team race, but I know there's a lot of good teams in this league, but Florida and Alabama are going to be really fun to watch each other.
Well, it's like 10 of them are ranked in the top 25. But yeah, I mean, Alabama's the cream of the crop right now, only because of, I keep wanting to call her Hannah Montana, but it's Montana Fouts, the pitcher.
Right.
It seems like she's been there forever. But, when you have that dominant pitcher, even though hitting in the last 5 to 10 years have really won people a lot of games, but in the conference with her pitching, boy, she's fantastic. I got a text from Daryl on the Titan MR text line. He said, "Good morning, guys. My son and I had a great time at the Daytona 500. Got close to the stage for Luke Combs." Yeah, I saw Luke singing, and he's perfect for the entertainment there at the Daytona 500. Let's see. Got a couple of Facebook Lives here before we get JC out of here, and then I'll end up the show by myself because we were going to try to get Scott Carter on, but that kind of fell through today.
I got nothing to do. If you want me to hang around, that's fine.
So JC, East Carolina lost the series. Mississippi State lost the series, and the Gators lost the series. That's crazy.
What?
Wow,
that's stunning. Did that happen?
What's that?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No.
Lawrence said he took in 3 of the 4 games at KVC Shoal. It was a great weekend. We played great small ball on Saturday. What were you going to ask, JC?
Well, was the game was the Long Beach State, Mississippi State? That was in Starkville, right?
Do you think Mississippi State, the number 3 in America, team in America, is going to start the season on the road? Come on, you're supposed to be a season ticket holder there.
You're right. That was kind of stupid to ask, but I okay. Well, it's surprising. We'll say that. But, folks, get a hold of yourself. It's all right. You're going to get kids to, it's February. We'll be fine. I'm not ready to throw in the towel yet on either team. Yeah.
So I'm laughing inside at this text, and it doesn't tell me who it came from on the Titan MR text line about how Gator baseball is over with after 3 games.
Oh, wow. Well, why do
Sully's
you think
just an
people,
average coach.
well, why do you think people are so quick to jump ship? I mean, what's the problem here? What is the problem?
Well, I mean, because I think, preseason number 9, Florida's a great baseball program, and, you come out of the box and you win Friday night. Hunter Barco, I think, had 11 Ks in 5 or 6 innings. And, and then you lose the next 2 games to Liberty, which is a decent team.
Sure.
I mean, it happens in baseball, but you don't want it to, but it does. Okay, John has on Facebook Live here, brought to you by Mel Law. Shane and JC, can you explain how the top 2 swimmers of one Ivy League championship race were 2 transgender athletes? The winner was a man swimming as a woman, and the second place was a woman becoming a man, but still swimming as a woman. Look,
well, yeah,
I don't understand that either. I have a very close friend who is a great golfer down in the Tampa area, and there's a big stink at his club that the women's club champion was a male a few years ago, and the women are raising hell about it.
I don't know what I would do if I had a little girl playing sports these days, but it's pretty simple to me. When a male plays in a female sport and it involves a lot of physical activity, typically the male is going to have the advantage. You can call yourself what you want, but that's
whether it's swimming, playing golf, or whatever.
Running track.
It's ridiculous.
Running track. You got these people running track against females. What is this? The only female that I've seen that can beat a male in track are those who run from Jamaica and countries where you see these track and field athletes, and they are superior in their natural born gender. But when you start fooling around with genders, man, it's kind of tricky there, doesn't it?
But JC, think about that. If you were the women's club champ at Crowstone Country Club, and then Jimmy, who became Janie, came out there and took your title and your parking spot, you'd be upset about it. So
it would be outrageous. It would be outrageous. It would be kind of like letting a guy who just got out of jail win your member guest. That happened also here.
Toy says, how come there's no women crossing over to male sports? Good question. All right, let's take a quick timeout, JC. We're going to keep going here because we got a ton of Facebook Lives.
Okay, good.
You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron, Dave & Buster's, Medici's, Palmetto Moon, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurs Gridiron Grill, now serving brunch on Saturday and Sundays. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. And if you missed it tonight at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, I don't know if there's any tickets available. Maybe you can go on their website, but Coach Spurrier's first year Coaches Award banquet will be tonight. Josh Heupel and Shane Beamer are your recipients. So I know they were selling tickets and tables. It may be sold out by now, but it starts this evening. JC, you're going to that, aren't you?
I don't think I'm going to make it in town, but I'll see.
Oh, okay. So you're not going to make it. All right. Real quick,
maybe
let's get to this day in sports. This was a great one. It's brought to you by our Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. They're hiring team members with all levels of experience. $1,000 signing bonus for qualified positions. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366. JC, back in 1979, at a high school basketball girls game in Iowa, the state of Iowa, two teams play 4 scoreless quarters. Goes into the 4th overtime, and a team wins 4-2. How is that even possible?
Wow. I don't know. I don't know how you go scoreless. I mean, what kind of game is that?
So they played 8 quarters. They played 8 quarters of girls basketball, and finally had a winner 4-2. They must have just dribbled it out because there's no shot clock in high school. Do you think they just went 4 corners the whole game, each team?
Yeah, and I can't imagine that. Yeah, but I've never heard of that.
That's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. It's about that time, folks. It's getting ready to get hot. Give them a call. Come check out your AC unit. Dan says on Facebook Live. Hang on a second. Dan says on Facebook Live here that, JC, you should give your ticket to Lauren for tonight's event.
Okay. I didn't know I had a ticket. I think I do, though. Our company has got a table, so we'll see. QB, this week, this is so crazy. Here we are, last week of February, and I believe the temperatures in the greater Gainesville area will be in the upper 80s. How about that? Play some golf, QB.
Well, yeah, it was a beautiful weekend. I don't think you could have asked for better weather this weekend in Gainesville. Nice, cool breeze. It was about a high of 65, not a cloud in the sky, so it was great for the weekend of baseball and softball. And they had the largest, how about this, JC? I believe it was Friday night, the largest crowd in the history of Gator baseball, which is a good sign.
I love it. I love it.
It's like a little over 6,000. So people were showing up at the new ballpark, and, they're still gotten to pay like $12 for a beer. I'm waiting for them to pull the old Duty Noble where you can roll your own cooler in there, and then they'll have a great atmosphere, in my opinion.
Right. If you want the outfield to get crazy, that's what you're going to have to allow. I don't know. I mean, these guys lose their minds over kids running out on basketball courts in perfectly harmless situations, if you ask me. But, I don't know what they'll do with the baseball atmosphere. But, around the league, the FCC has the best college baseball atmospheres in the country, and it's not even close. And, we always talk about the Mississippi States getting the attention and the atmospheres like that, but you could go to Oxford, Mississippi and have just as good a time as Ole Miss. Same thing with Baton Rouge in Louisiana, Arkansas, South Carolina. It's all wonderful. So I'm glad Florida's getting into the game, so to speak, with this stadium, and fans are showing up. There's no restrictions. People I know have boxes. I'm going to go to a box with a couple friends of mine here throughout the season at some point during the year. I'm looking forward to that. And it's just, it's a baseball environment, man. The weather's warming up. You got to get the baseball thing going. And I'm sure O'Sullivan and them will be fine. I think the team will be fine. I don't make a big deal out of the first weekend of the season. I mean, Jeff Cardozo could certainly comment on this a lot better than we can at this point, but I don't think it's time to push the panic button, folks.
No, when you got 53 regular season games left, a lot of baseball to be played. If you missed it earlier, softball continues to stay undefeated, 10-0. 10-0. They're 10-0. Basketball with the biggest win in the O'Connell Center in the history of Gator basketball. They beat the number 2 team in America for the first time ever. There was a small court storming. People were all up in arms about it. Didn't bother me one bit because I'll argue with anybody about Gator basketball till the cows come home. Women lose a heartbreaker yesterday. Hang on, they lose yesterday. And if any of our listeners know the status of Kiki, I know she was injured and couldn't shoot free throws at the end of the game, and I somehow missed what happened to her. So if anybody knows what's wrong with her, please let us know. John says, Shane and JC, if you were the czar of college football and could expand the playoffs, what would you do with the ancient bowl games? Would you protect or involve them in the playoffs? I would involve them in some capacity. I haven't thought about it enough because I think I'm a big bowl game guy. I don't care if nobody watches the Birmingham Bowl or the Bahamas Bowl. I think they're great for college football. I would implement them somehow into the playoffs, but I would go to 24 teams. That's what I would do. Andy probably real quick. We're going to go back to that, but Andy, before it goes away here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says, who was that LSU coach in the yellow raincoat? That is the great Kim Mulkey, who came from Baylor, won a couple national titles at Baylor. She wears some fancy clothes on the sideline. All right, back to being the czar. What would you do?
Well, QB, I definitely would expand it to 12. I think we would include home games and also allow the 4 teams that get the bye to play a home game when they play. I don't think 4 natural or neutral site games is realistic. I can tell you from experience, folks, that this 14 playoff thing makes all the people happy that are running the show, but for the fans, it's death because it is not practical, nor is it affordable, and nor is it realistic that you go travel to an SEC championship game, followed by a neutral site game, followed by another neutral site game 9 days later. The price gouging is real. It's not good. It's becoming corporate entertainment. And if we're going to keep college football as a college sport, if you can even call it that anymore, and I don't know if you can with NIL, but with that in mind, you better let the teams that have the best seasons play a home game if you're going to let 5 through 12 play, the 4 of those teams having a home field. So I would definitely tweak that. And I think 12 teams allows recruiting to become more balanced throughout the year because it tells kids in California that maybe there's a realistic chance you can get to a playoff if you sign with some of the schools out west instead of moving to the Southeast. Not that I'm all for the Southeast. I want the SEC to dominate, and it is. But, if we're looking for the health of college football, it can't just be a regional sport anymore. It has to expand into other sections of the country, and I think the Big Ten is trying that. But, they've got I just don't think Kevin Warren is capable of being a really good commissioner, and I don't think he's done anything to show that he has. The TV contracts are negotiated, but all the schools are part of that. He's not the real reason for it, so I don't think he's that good at all. If it was up to him, we wouldn't have played during the COVID year. So I don't know. I think we need better leaders in college football from the administrative standpoint on a top-down basis. And I certainly think if you're going to have 12 teams, you give the 4 teams that you give a bye to a home game as well. And let's have some on-campus playoffs in December. That's what I would want.
Yeah, I think it needs to expand. We got a text on the Titan More text line. It's from Jimmy. Jimmy says he wants to know our thoughts on Brian Flores being hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't. I think Brian Flores is being hired by the Steelers. I think because, Mike Tomlin likes him and wants him on the staff, and it's nothing more than that. And I don't think, you're suing the NFL, which includes the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now you're working for them. You tell me, where does that – I don't think Brian Flores is ever going to be a head coach again, but I think it takes a special situation.
He's not suing the Steelers, is he?
No, well, the NFL is part of the Steelers, bro. They're part of the NFL.
Oh.
So, I no, he's not suing the Steelers as a single entity, but they are one of 32, right? So they are part of that the league. And so to me, it seems like, okay, Brian Flores is given an opportunity by a guy who likes him. That's Mike Tomlin. Otherwise, he wouldn't be working, and I don't think he's ever going to be a head coach again. But I'm not saying I'm in favor of what Brian Flores is doing or not in favor of what Brian Flores is doing, but I think it is a hire based on friendship more than anything.
Yeah, it's I think he's a good football coach, and I think he'll do. You're right. They're very probably good friends, and Tomlin's probably trying to make a statement as well. Yeah. Hey, folks, if you Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with JC on the Titan Tomorrow hotline on multiple topics today. A lot of stuff happening around the sports world, and the Gators get Arkansas. That Arkansas game's tomorrow night, right?
Oh, yeah, it's a Tuesday night game, and Arkansas, I think they're one of the 4 best in the league, so another opportunity for Florida to really get that resume back online to get back into the conversation for sure. And, QB,
that game in Gainesville?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll win that game. They'll beat Arkansas. Book it.
Well, big win. That'd be a big win. Musselman's done a great job. I mean, not good, but a great job at Arkansas getting that program to where it is today, because it was very mediocre. And here it is now, winning big games and being a part of the conversation. You look at Musselman's record since he's got there; it's unbelievably good. So Arkansas is a real factor now, and Florida has a chance to really get that resume going. But the only way Florida wins, QB, it's pretty obvious to me, is Appleby or somebody has to hit these shots. And if he can hit shots from the outside, the Gators can play with anybody in the league.
Well, you got to score to win. That's usually how it works.
That's it.
I'm trying to see. It's a 7:00 game. Yeah, all the Hogs come rolling here, but I think Florida wins that game. Let's see here. Yes, Dan says it's the last shot at a Tier 1 win for the basketball team. We're not beating Kentucky. We are not beating Kentucky. Kentucky is loaded. They hammered Alabama this weekend without 2 starters. They are so deep, it's crazy. John says on Facebook Live. Say again?
No, they beat Alabama by 9. They came back. They were down 12 in the first half, and they came back and won that basketball game, a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
they
really
were up.
good.
They were up at the end. Alabama hit a couple threes at the end to make it a 9-point game. But
okay.
John says, on the topic of the Steelers, do you think they sign a top-tier QB, draft a QB, or sign a Tier 2 QB and wait until next year when the QB class is better? Ooh.
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, and don't forget about free agency too, man. I mean, there's opportunities out there for some quarterbacks to maybe get into Pittsburgh, but it's a tough one there. I think they're going to probably go through the draft. I don't know. What do you think, QB?
I think they're going to sign a free agent. And I don't know if I dreamed this or if I actually heard this. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Did he end up with the Steelers?
Yeah, we mentioned this after the 49ers were eliminated. I think I talked about this with you, about Garoppolo possibly ending up in Pittsburgh, which to me is crazy. But I guess it's very possible. I think it's very possible. Did you also see, there's a story over the weekend about a young lady at the Rams Super Bowl celebration who was on the stage with the Staffords, Kelly and Matt. She falls and fractures her spine, and Staffords are going to pick up the tab on her medical bill.
I saw that, but did you see the video? It was very strange.
Well,
I saw the video.
She fell
Matt
off.
was like talking to her. She fell, and he turned around and walked away.
That's right. He goes, "Oh my God!" And first of all, let's just not fool ourselves. They were really, really hammered. But still, the girl falls. I would have thought he'd jump down there to try to see if she was okay. Don't you think that would be the normal reaction? That was very odd. And then, of course, I do know for a fact, though, that he and Kelly are going to pay her bills. Maybe that's his guilty conscience saying, that's the least I can do since I didn't get off the stage to see if she was okay. But we don't know the situation. I mean, the girl could have been taking a very bad risk by hanging on the edge of a stage and jumping up and down. I don't know. I wasn't there. But the video did show that he basically just said, "Oh, my God," and turned around, So, yeah. But I am glad that her bills are getting picked up, and she's not dead.
Yeah, I don't know how high the stage was.
Or how close to the edge that she was, or how drunk that she was. Don't know any of these things, but It's a very bad accident, and certainly I would have thought that he would have gone down to see if she was okay, but at least he's going to be writing the checks to help her get healed. But I want to go back to if we can just for a second, do you think Juwan Howard's going to be suspended for the season or fired or both? Or I guess that would be both.
I think both.
What do you think?
I think both.
Okay, so I think he's getting fired.
Yeah. I mean, can you think of any coach that has actually had an altercation that's kept his job?
No. And
Maybe
the only
Woody
one
Hayes back in the day?
Well, hell no. After Woody hit Charlie Bowman, that was it. I think that was the end of Woody. But Woody was kind of losing it anyway. Howard is just not known as being a very, he's got a hot temper. And regardless, he was pressing at the end of the game in a blowout. And so the Wisconsin coach, who was playing backups, decided to call timeout so he could get them organized. I don't think the Wisconsin coach did anything wrong. And he wasn't going to shake Greg Gard's hand at the end of the game. He was going to walk right by him. Did Greg Gard need to grab him and try to talk to him? No. He could have kept walking too, in all fairness. But what kind of sportsmanship and what kind of leadership does that show on Juwan Howard's part? If you ask me.
Yeah. So it's crazy. All right, JC, we appreciate you hanging around. We're going to take our final time out and wrap up this Monday edition. Have a great trip back.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan and More Hotline and take our final time out. Come back and wrap up this Monday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. At South State Bank, we understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking for member FDIC. I want to thank JC for joining us on the Titan and More Hotline. Thank you for all your texts and tweets and Facebook Lives and all that good stuff. Good conversation today. Good weekend for Gator basketball, obviously. Biggest win in the history of the school in the O'Connell Center. Baseball, if you missed it, starts the season 1-2. Softball stays undefeated. Big game in the O'Connell Center tomorrow night. I believe if Florida wins that game against Arkansas, they will punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament. And I think they're going to win. I really do. Arkansas is a good basketball team, but I think Florida can beat them at home. It's hard to play on the road. Tomorrow we'll have Buddy Martin on the Titan MR Hotline join the program. Don't forget on Wednesday, Trent Whittemore will have Jaquavius Fraziers on the program. And if you've got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule a free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Appreciate all y'all listening. Today's show's a wrap brought to you by Wrap Spot. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.